Hi, this is Freddy TK421 from YouTube, and I'm going to talk about this alumiweld product. It is a way to join aluminum. I'm not sure the exact process. It's kind of like brazing or soldering, but supposedly the finished joint is stronger than the aluminum on the sides if you do it right. And it's very handy for people that don't have a TIG welder or anything like that. And it took a little bit of practice to get to this point. This is the first time I ever tried it out. I'm using the supplied zero tip with the Harbor Freight oxygen acetylene setup, industrial whatever it's called. It's oxygen acetylene. And this is the alumiweld rods. I got them from harborfreight.com. It says the working temperature is 730 degrees and 40,000 tensile strength. So 780 degrees, you actually don't need acetylene oxygen probably. I think you can just use propane. So this is good. So I'm going to let you see some of my preliminary mistakes and my learning process. It took me a little while to figure out how to do it. Here I am heating up. I did a little wire brushing to it too, but I didn't show you that because it's kind of boring. Here I am trying to heat the rod instead of heating the base metal, which I later found is best to do. I'm actually heating up too far away from where I'm just doing it wrong. This is just, if I had it over to do it over, I wouldn't even try to just weld it like that. I would just drag the stick all along the seam and it would just stick to it. Right here I'm just putting way too much heat in one little spot. It really takes a lot less heat than this. So that's what I'm doing wrong initially. And see, as you can tell, the bond doesn't happen until that stuff cools off. So that's one of the main drawbacks of this process, besides the fact that I'm obviously have a bad, connection here. Is if you're welding, or not welding, brazing, whatever it's called, whatever this is called, alumiwelding, something. If you have another joint that's close to it and you try to do that, then it'll heat up down the line and all your joints will fall apart like a house of cards. And it sucks. This is good for just if you have a couple of connections and you have to keep everything clamped otherwise. See, once that aluminum is hot enough, that stuff just comes off like a crayon. And so looking back here, what I would say is get it all heated up and just drag that thing back and forth and kind of draw it on. Then pull the fire back. I had the fire too close to it. I need to have the fire. Let's see, this is not good. But this is my learning process. Hopefully you won't have to do it since I'm doing it like this. At the end I'll show you, how I learned to do it. See, what I should have done is grab my rod and, see, just pull it back and forth. Just use the rod itself to drag that pull. I actually did it, so yeah. See, if I would have done that at first, just dragged it across like that, it would have been nice. And that's what I eventually learned, figure out. See, that stuff just comes off so easily once it's that temperature. And this ends up being kind of strong here. This one ends up being really strong. I try to pull them apart. So obviously it's too much filler or whatever stuff. But like I said, I'm just learning. It looks really cool. It looks like Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Come with me if you want to live. But I'm fixing to get a AC TIG welder to try out. So I wanted to just show this before I never would have to do this again. See, I'm starting to get it down better here. Just get that stick and drag it across, back and forth. See above, see that corner? That's where some of the material was from a different try. See how it's melting? That's why this is not a good process if you're doing a bunch of joints close to each other, because you can have one all fit up and stuck together right. Then you're working on a different part, and then the heat goes through the aluminum over there, and then that part falls apart. That happened to me before on a different kind of solder stuff, but you know, this is the same principle. This is only 700-degree working temperature. Okay, so even though I put way too much of that filler on there, I kind of got an idea of what to do. You know, this is kind of practice getting the feel of it. And I tested here, trying to pull it off, and the little seam down there, I don't know if that was welded or what. I didn't do that, so it came off before this stuff did. And the two fat ones actually seemed pretty strong. That little one on top kind of came off, but I kind of got the idea of what to do. See, this is after I preheated it some. I skipped some of the preheating. Then I just dragged it across, and this one's not a good one either. This is another practice one that I messed up on. And I'm heating it way too much. That's what I figured out. There was no need to get it that hot. I am just cooking it. It needs to be around 730 degrees, and I have the fire all in there, and I'm melting the aluminum and that stuff. Really, I just want to get the aluminum hot, and that stuff will flow into the cracks. See, I'm just cooking it. This is incorrect. I'm just putting too much heat into it. Yeah, so you can see it all crackling where the aluminum is actually melting itself. And here's my successful joint, braze or solder or whatever. I heat it up, not too much, like I did all the other times. I just get it hot, and then I just test it with the stick to see if it touches. Not touching, okay. I mean, it's not melting. So I just go back and heat a little more. I'm holding the fire back, and I have the flame more feathered. See, I'm just barely dragging it in that, pushing it back and forth, using the rod to like push the molten down. See how the gap's breaking, even though it was connected on the other side, because it's all heated up. It just starts from scratch. Once it's heated up, everything just resets. And you see how the metal is making little cracks, how it's sinking in. That's what you want to happen. You want to just fill in that crack and go all in there. This one's a good connection right here. And I'm pretty sure I could replicate that again easily. It's pretty easy once you figure it out. So here's the good joint that I just did. See how it's all pretty much going in that crack. And here's the bad one that I did where I was melting the aluminum way too hot.